I'm a little bit wary of subscription. I like the idea of it, but I also recognise that it creates challenges. You've got to sell it into people, and I tend to find that people don't want to be committed to that. So it's better to build the relationship.
Welcome back to the London Food Network podcast, the show where we sit down with people shaping the future of food, drink and hospitality. I'm your host, Sebastian Candelon. Today we're joined by Adrian from Hospitality Media, a team that has transformed the way hospitality brands tell their story through world-class photography, film and digital content. Their work has helped hundreds of venues elevate their brand, stand out in a very crowded market and connect more deeply with customers. I'm really looking forward to this one, Adrian. You have a fascinating journey full of vision in the industry and a real passion for helping operators shine. This episode is brought to you by Embrace AI Consultancy, where we help food and hospitality businesses streamline marketing, lead generation, and operations through AI smart systems. Let's jump in, Adrian. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yes, busy time of year, as we were just talking. We're coming into December now, and it's for the seafood business, I run a very hectic time of getting customer orders in and getting all the products up to scratch ready for the platters and all the kind of typical Christmas orders and all that kind of stuff. So very, very busy with all kinds of things going on, which is nice. It's good. How about you, Adrian? Tell me more about your past, really. So I know you've got this agency we're going to talk about in a minute, but let's talk about you and your past and how you came across, how you actually made the jump into creating your own baby that you're running today. So
my background is photography. Like, I studied it as a student, and that's basically what I've always done is photography, more years than I care to remember. But really, I was working for a set of clients that were on the edge of the sort of hospitality industry, and they pulled me into that area. So it wasn't a clear choice at the time to do that. As it goes, this is, you follow the lead sort of thing. And then started working with chefs, doing their food photography, doing their portraits, interior to their restaurants. And that sort of grew up. And then at a certain point with my partner, Jacqueline, we decided that maybe we should become more focused on the hospitality industry, because it's a big industry with a broad set of opportunities for everybody. We set up Hospitality Media, which is now 16 years old. And the idea behind that was to make sure that we were providing clients with the correct photographer or videographer for the job. I think I've witnessed over the years that a lot of, especially photographers, being the wrong type of photographer for the job. And one of the things, just for an example, is shooting in kitchens. You've got to understand that kitchen's a live place, that there's a lot going on in there. What you don't want to do is put a photographer in there who suddenly starts saying, oh, I want to stop the kitchen, I want to get this shot. You've got to look for the shot and make sure you get it without getting in the way. So employing the right photographers has been something that we've tried to do. And then about 10 years ago, we recognised that the need for videography was growing. And so we moved across and started providing videography for our clients as well. And in recent years, the demand for that has been greater than the photography. Although it's always swings and roundabouts. You suddenly find you're doing a whole set of photo shoots and where's the video gone sort of thing. And then doing a whole set of video and where's the photography gone. And we've got a broad set of clients now that sit in the food sector industry, hotels, restaurants, right across the hospitality industry. We work for Hospitality Action. We do work with Hospitality Action. We have a broad set of people that we work with.
Tell me, Adrian, because 16 years with this is a long time, and particularly these days with the advancements of technology, be it physical technology like hardware, like phones, cameras. Everybody seems to be a pro really these days with the right camera on their phone, right? And the same with videos, and the same with the whole explosion of social media, content, TikTok. Now you got AI, you got automations, you got all these incredible tools that can make the biggest amateur feel professional. How have you future-proofed yourself with that? Because that must have been for years.
I don't think there's no denying that all that's gone on and is going on, but you've answered it in your question. You talked about amateurs, and that's touching back on the whole thing of you put someone in a kitchen, you want a photographer who actually is understanding what's going on, or you're in a hotel and you want to do photography in a particular room, but they've got customers in there, and you can't just go in and start moving people around because they're paying good money to stay in that hotel. So my comment would be that what we endeavour to do is actually make sure that when we're in these environments, that we're understanding the environment. And I don't think that always happens with everybody, that they understand that sort of way of doing things.
And also taking it back to my own experience with the seafood business we run, that we do our own photography to a point. Really, in order to make the product properly stand out, we do use a professional photographer, because the difference that you're going to have between something that we can try and orchestrate ourselves with our best intentions and trying to copy and imitate the kind of set designs and lighting, we still don't even come close to what.
No, but unfortunately, we do live in an environment where people do say that'll do, it's good enough, sort of thing, and that is the constant challenge for us, where we're saying actually, if you did just spend a bit more time and a bit more effort on your photography, it make you stand out from your competition. Because if everyone's doing it on their phones, it certainly shows. And now with AI, you can spot AI a mile off. It's very repetitive in what it does. It's all super sharp, and it's not subtle enough yet to actually, I think, really challenge a good photographer. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that will improve over time, but it will take a while. But there's still something about a photographer coming in, I think, and understanding as well, particularly if they're focused on, let's say, food.
Absolutely. And that brings me back to what I was trying to say earlier. The good food photographer understands the situation before they get there. So they're in, they know how they're going to set up. They'll have had that conversation with you beforehand about what actually you're trying to achieve with your photography. And you'll see their work. You'll know their work. So beforehand. So in reality, they will always be giving you a much better product. And that's what it's about.
And just walk me through so if I'm a typical kind of prospect for you and we're having a conversation and I'm saying, listen, Adrian, I've got X things that I want to do and blah, blah, blah. Do you take like a consultant approach as well? What's that process? Like, how do you guide me?
What you don't want is a scenario from either side where the day arrives and no one's actually given any thought to what the photography is going to be and what style of photography. So what you want to have is a dialogue beforehand so you make sure it's the right photographer coming in to do the job, which we've already discussed, but also that you understand from your end what style of photography you're going to get, whether it's a photographer who uses quite strong lighting with shadows or a photographer that uses a softer daylight output of image. So there's that from your side. But from the photographer's side, if you're doing fish, are you wanting to do it as finished dishes, or what dishes you're going to be photographing, how many images you're expecting from each dish, sort of thing, whether you're keen on the fad for over-the-top shots, if that's what you like, or if you'd rather have them from a lower angle. It's understanding what the client actually wants to get from it and making sure that they're actually happy at the end and that they get a product that they're happy with and they can easily access those images afterwards. So delivery is quite important about it all as well.
And what's the kind of turnaround time for these sorts of things as well?
That's determined by the client in a way, because if you commissioned me today and said I need 4 dishes doing or 5 dishes doing now, I need them soon, we'll factor that in and we'll say, okay, we'll come in tomorrow and we'll do the shoot tomorrow and you will have your finished photos within a couple of days. So it actually can be quite a quick process. But we live in a world where everyone says they need it yesterday.
So have you figured out how to go back in time in that case?
No, sometimes wish you could actually. But the key thing is to tell you when you're going to get your pictures and not just disappear on you. That's what people don't like, is where's my pictures? You did these pictures, where are they? You don't want that scenario. So what we would do is we will keep you fully informed about what stage we're at in the pictures. So the pictures have been downloaded, but we haven't prepared them. But they will be delivered by Friday, and they will be delivered by Friday, unless I can't think any reason why not.
And the 16 years that we were just talking about is a long time, really, to be in business for something that's changed a lot over the course of that period. And I guess your mindset must have changed along the way. You must have changed how you do your outreach, get clients in, your client needs maybe have changed, or do you find that this has remained fairly static?
It's changed massively and it's constant. And as coming back to the videography, it was something we never set out to do in the first place. But then we recognized that there was a greater demand for it. Type of client we work for has changed. When we first started, it was a lot of editorial-based companies, but their needs have changed. And we work for agencies or even clients direct now. There's a lot of people who want stuff direct as well. I would say we've seen those changes take place over the last 16 years, but it is constantly change. And there'll be another change, I'm sure. I think you've touched upon it already, the technology aspect and what people are expecting, and that's had a major impact, I would say, in just the last couple of years.
In what terms? In terms of cost?
Where we would have expected to do a shoot in a particular way. I'm trying to think of an obvious example, but actually I lost my train of thought because I looked down at something. So the technology thing has had an impact on, so if there's an event going on or something, whereas once we still are employed to do jobs like that, but you'll find increasingly more now that if it's an afternoon event or something, they'll get someone with the phone to actually cover it off. So they're the big impacts, really, that are taking place on our part of the industry sort of thing.
And you said that you've relied more in the past, I think, with agencies coming to you rather than actual businesses directly.
It's always been a good mix. It's been a good mix, to be fair. We have agencies we work for directly, but very much individuals, restaurants, chefs who want their food photographing, or hotels that want interiors doing. And some of them will do it direct, and actually, because they just need to freshen their photography up and various reasons, they miss out the agency and come to us direct. And that's all driven by our website and what we're telling the story through our website, what we're up to. It's very important for us to constantly be talking to people out there and telling through social media and website that this is what we're doing. Okay, so it creates a comfortable environment. They know, oh, look, they do food photography, and look, there's their food photography. I can look at it. I like that. So they will come to us direct. So
I guess your main lead generation sources are from your own website and traffic coming through, and social media as well.
Absolutely. And then once we're working with people, retention is important. So for us, retention is very important. We've got some of our clients that have been with us pretty much the whole journey. I would say I can think of one particular client that's been with us for the good 16 years.
Blimey, that's good. And do you have testimonials and things as well?
We have testimonials on our website coming from various sources. Again, some are agencies, some are individuals. So, very much that's always an important thing, just to tell people that we have customers who are confident in us.
And who does the photography? Is it you, your partner?
We have a variety of photographers, but I am a trained photographer, so I very much am included in that scenario. And as I said to you right at the beginning, it depends on the shoot of who we think might be suitable for it. It's important to make sure you've got the right photographer in the right place. And that's a constant thing. We're always looking for new photographers, but photographers who understand the industry as well. I think that's really important.
And I was going to say, because if I'm somewhere up in the northeast of Scotland or northwest.
So we have a photographer based in Glasgow. We used to have two, but one of them is actually retired. But he will cover pretty much most of Scotland for us. He's a food photographer, but he will do events as well. So we have photographers in Manchester, a photographer in the northeast. So that's the other thing is, once I remember I'd travel all over the country for shoots, but now people, obviously because of economics, will say, have you got a photographer in this location? But then again, someone might say, we like this food photographer, we want this photographer, and the travel, that's part of the game. They'll get in the car and travel to it. So it works both ways.
How do you safeguard yourself then? Because I always thought about this kind of like service industries where you're having to subcontract out. How do you the client go and
I can't say it's not ever happened, because it has. It's not, and unfortunately, the sad thing about it is, the truth is, the relationship we have with our photographers on the whole is a good relationship, and they recognise that relationship we have with clients. So it'd be very short-sighted for a photographer to go off and take that customer. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's very, because we'll never work with them again, and they possibly sourcing their photography from just more than one person. It would be, on the whole, it'd be foolish. And I have to say, respectfully, that most photographers understand the process and don't really break that bond, because it's not doing anyone any good at the end of the day.
So there's a kind of unwritten code in the industry.
And I have to say, I can think of one occasion when it didn't happen, then the photographer went and took the client from us. But over 16 years, for that to only happen once, I think is pretty good. And I think that's because everyone respects and recognises the way it works.
No, that's good to know. It's good to know there's kind of integrity and honour.
There is. I think there's more of that than people think, actually.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's reassuring. I guess I'm always around multiple businesses. I've done multiple things in my life, and not saying that I've been burnt in any particular bad way, but I certainly always think about these kind of scenarios. Call it hypervigilance, call it risk adverse or risk aware or whatever you want to call it. But I do always think about these kind of scenarios with these situations. And yeah, you've got to have an element of trust. You've got to have an element of reciprocal kind of agreement, whether they're
that person
legal or not. And you need to have a good understanding of each other and what the end goal is. And
exactly. And I think anyone who's in the business of taking business away from people just they're not doing themselves a favour in the long term, because people don't forget, and it gets around. And hospitality, it's a big industry, but it's also a small industry.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Exactly that. I think because it's such a large industry and it's such a community of people, that's why for me I love this podcast, because I always try and dig into how people end up in the hospitality industry. And it's like similar story everywhere, really. People end up in the industry and then you feel there's something that keeps you in it. And I guess it's because it's a very unique industry to be a part of. The community is very good. I think people interchange quite a lot. I think particularly in the past, there's a lot of crossover. People, like, I'm sure you find the same, like you've probably worked with particular chefs that have been around the houses, different places, moved frequently, and therefore, well, it does become smaller because that one person may have been in 15, 20, 30 restaurants within their career. And of course, everybody that they meet is the same thing. It's just a lot of kind of cross-pollination, if you like, between people in the industry.
Absolutely. It surprises me the number of times I do walk into a kitchen and go, I know you, but it's not from here.
Yeah, exactly.
And people do move around, and people, you build a relationship with people over time, even if it's a casual one, in the sense of you can walk into a kitchen, they go, oh, hi, how are you doing? Or walk into a hotel or something like that, and instantly you've got that relationship going because you've met before. So that's really, really quite healthy.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about the hospitality and broader industries, because there's not a huge amount of money in it, or at least profit and take home from it. So there's other drivers, I think, that kind of feed this community of people that continue to work within the industry. And I guess post-COVID, things have changed a lot for the better as well, for people at least. I know it's put a lot more pressure on the industry overall, but certainly from the people within the industry, it's created a better infrastructure for them to feel supported and paid accordingly. But it's changing a lot, and I think the industry is under a lot of pressure at the moment. How do you navigate through that, Adrian? Because you must feel also, when the industry is suffering, you must feel the repercussions of that. And
there's no denying that the industries, if any industry, I think it's true to say any industry, if it's finding it tight, then people do look where to actually make savings, and photography, video can be one of those luxuries that can suffer from it. And likewise, people looking at other opportunities where they can get more bang for their buck in a way. And it comes back to people doing stuff on telephones, with social media being such a hungry beast. They tend to start thinking, we'll just get people to do it on their phones. But we've already discussed this. There's certain drawbacks to doing that. So they're the sort of things people need to think hard about. But when things are tight, you say, do we need that? So it can be more challenging. From our point of view, I think we're always looking for new opportunities, where we can actually provide something else for clients. So at the moment we've introduced 360 virtual tours for people. And that's something really important. We feel that you get great interaction with people. Certain clients don't need it, others are finding it really good. We're just hopefully hitting it at the right point in time where people feel that they need it. But there seems to be, we get very positive responses on it. So I think they're the things you need to do when situations aren't as good as they could be, is to look at opportunities where you can provide more for people.
And do you have a referral scheme as well, maybe, where you can encourage people to refer somebody on and you give them a little kickback for doing so, and reputation to your advantage, and kind of incentivizing people in your network to market it for you?
Well, to be honest, we haven't found the need to do that. But what I would say is that we live in a world where we have very positive relationships with people, and if somebody wants something, we will pass and say, look, this is the right person that could help you here. So that relationship is built in such a way that we're contras. If you look after us, we look after you, and that's all part of business, really.
I always wonder about different models. We're going to try and adopt a more kind of subscription-based model for the online side of things. And I wondered in your industry, do you offer packages where, for example, a business might say to you, look, we're going to require X amount of photography fee over X amount of time. Can you do us a package where we pay, let's say, a monthly fee of some sort, and this is going to include X, Y, and Z over the course of a year? Because, of course, I guess it changes what I mean? There's many changes. There's always the need for constant something, right?
So my thinking about that, it's a nice idea, and I have to say it's something that we haven't entirely ever dismissed as an idea. But I think a lot of our clients, they don't know how much they're going to need within the year. So I would say to a restaurant, I'll do you 4 shoots in a year and I'll give you a discount on the overall price. And I get interest in that, but I get very little commitment, because they might just not want to do 4 shoots in a year. They don't want to commit X amount of money to having photography done in a year. It also closes down their opportunities that they might actually say, actually, don't want to do it with these guys. I want to go over here and do it with these guys. I'm a little bit wary of subscription. I like the idea of it, but I also recognise that it creates challenges. You've got to sell it into people, and they're not. I tend to find that people don't want to be committed to that. So it's better to build the relationship where you're quietly confident that person wants them when they need their food photography doing, say, or they want their interiors reshot, that they're going to come to you. Like a hotel's not going to want their interiors doing every 4 times a year. They're going to want it once a year. And so we just did a job recently for a venue, and it's 4 years since they had their last photography done.
Wow.
But they still came back to us after 4 years and got us to do the photography. So I like the idea. I can understand why you're exploring it, but I'm not entirely convinced that it works.
Yeah, the reason I said that to you, actually, just because we had this photographer that I used to use for different things, actually. I had a car rental business, and he would photograph my cars. But he started doing some of the photography for food for the seafood business I run. And, he came up with some packages that he offers people for this precise reason. And actually, it was an attractive package. It was a certain amount of money that we would pay every month. And he would do X amount of photos, and he would do X amount of videos out of it. And it was a fixed monthly fee. And you build it into your marketing budget, because the photography was also to be used for all kinds of things. And the videos, of course, was to be used for all the kind of, what's the word, the content, if you like, you were getting from that was quite big. And actually, in fact, it was going to be great for our email campaigns, social media campaigns, blah, blah, to have actually high quality content to go with it. That was changing over time. The reason I say that is it was actually a really attractive package. And I think the only reason we didn't take it is because we invested the fund in, anyway, we spent the money on something else that we needed more at that time. But it's still something that for me actually is something that I would definitely revisit, only because I like fixed costs. And I appreciate
different people, horses for courses.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I appreciate the fact that in order to get good quality content online, you do have to have good quality photography or imagery. And like you say, AI, as good as it may be, it does not at least in the food industry, it's not at a point where it can really shine through what you're trying to put out and represent your product. Especially if you're premium and you're proud of what you do and you've got a great.
If you want your food photographing, you want your food photographing. If you want your interiors of your hotel photographing, it's your interiors you want photographing. It's not going to do that for you. So there's still a need for good quality photography in those sectors. But it's something we have explored, the sort of subscription or putting people, but we just found generally people haven't really bought into it. I'd be quite happy to do it with people, but it's just we've tried it and it's the commitment just doesn't seem to be there. And then it's broken because you have that agreement. It's almost like you have a personal agreement with someone, and then someone else in the organization goes off and employs a photographer from elsewhere, and it's suddenly, what do you do that for? We're committed over here. Now we have to be, and it all gets a little bit messy. And so I like the idea. I'm not dissing the idea, but I just found that people generally don't want to
be tied in. Interesting. And what does the future hold for you guys, Adrian? What does the next 12 to 18
I mentioned the 360. I think that's something that we're working really hard on. We've managed now to do 3, very much based on not having a lot to show people beforehand, but we've successfully made 3 now. And from our point of view, it's actually to roll that alongside our existing. Sorry, excuse me a second. Sorry, do you want to ask that question again?
Yeah, of course. 12, 18 months time, what's your kind of plans for growth and how are you going to get there and what are the challenges, I guess?
Okay, so from our point of view, obviously, from just talking about what we're saying is I think we have to differentiate ourselves from AI or content creators and say, we will provide you with quality product, photography, videography, and now we're starting to focus on 360 as well. We've had some success in that area already, which really pleased about, but that's something we've got to promote and push on and land a few more jobs in that sort of sector. So that's really, it's steady as you go, but making sure that people understand that what we have to offer is a quality product and that they really get something good back out of it, and they're not taking a risk. They're in a safe pair of hands, really.
Yeah. Okay. And what kind of challenges do you foresee? Obviously, apart from the obvious AI and whatnot and the content.
I think content creators are his challenge in a way, and mobile phones. Everyone's talking AI, and I'm sure AI is going to create a whole set of new challenges. But I would say the immediate challenge for photographers, for people who are specialists, you are now running into people who, and where we were quite safely doing jobs for some quite big companies, doing them their photography and their video, suddenly the content creators are on the scene and they come in with their mobile phones and they make content. And it's pretty much ending the conversation where we started it, in the sense that they're the challenges that we've got to face. So we've got to make sure that we are telling our clients and potential clients that what we give them is a quality product.
Where can we find you, Adrian? Where can the audience what are your plugins? And
you can find us on all the social media platforms. We're there. Hospitality Media, look us up. And obviously visit us through our website, hospitalitymedia.co.uk. There you can see plenty of our work, what we've done, see what clients we've got, who we work with. And the best thing is get in touch with us and talk to us about what your requirements are, and we can give you some idea of how we can help.
Fantastic. Adrian, thank you so much for joining me today. That was a great insight into the power of storytelling, visual identity, and brand innovation with the hospitality and your work. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn and join the London Food Network, our fast-growing community of food and hospitality leaders, sharing insights, opportunities, and collaboration. A special thanks to our sponsor, Embrace AI Consultancy, supporting businesses across the UK with automation-driven marketing and sales systems. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode. Adrian, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you.